Hi mamas, welcome to the section about returning to intimacy. This is a really important section that often goes glossed over or not discussed at all, even with your doctor. So returning to intimacy is going to look very different for everyone. I have 4 things I'm going to talk about right now. The first being patience, then communication, curiosity, and moisture or lubrication. These are kind of the stepwise things that I recommend with my clients. So first off, patience, setting realistic expectations. I think a lot of us go into pregnancy and postpartum thinking nothing's gonna change in our sexual life. Well, that is usually not true. A lot changes. First off, privacy is a lot harder to come by. You have another little being living in the home, and that can complicate things. Also, I think a lot of women put a lot of weight on this 6-week medical checkup and think like, oh, I'll be cleared for sexual activity at 6 weeks and we'll just go back to the way we were before. Often, very often, that is not the case. And I can talk to you about that from personal experience, but I won't go there right now. But it really is not true that at 6 weeks, every mom is going to feel ready for sexual activity. It's just not the case. So setting your partners up for more realistic expectations is really important as well, because they might be thinking like, okay, it's just going to be 6 weeks and then we'll get back at it. And then 6 weeks rolls by and you're like, heck no, I want nothing to do with this. So I think going into postpartum with that realistic expectation of 6 weeks is not a hard, fast time frame. Some women honestly will feel ready before then and may be able to engage in sexual activity before 6 weeks, safely and comfortably. Others, it might take 6 months or longer. So it needs to be a patient process on both sides, from you and your partner, and just working with your body, exploring your new body, and letting it flow as it will. And I always encourage the partners to place the mom, the birthing partner, in the driver's seat. Let them, with your encouragement, kind of direct what happens and when. So next, that kind of flows into communication. Communication is important. It's not necessarily and very unlikely to look like it did before. Sexual activity postpartum is different. There's new factors. You just gave birth to a child that involved the very area of your body that you engage in sexual activity with, most likely. Everyone's version of sexual activity is different. So I encourage you to talk about it. How are you feeling? What do you need to feel comfortable and safe and heard? It's important that you, the birthing person, feel like your partner understands where you're at, understands your concerns, and understands what you're willing to do and not do with very clear guidelines. So it may start with not penetrative intercourse. It may start with touch in non-sexual stimulating places, kissing, hugging, holding hands, giving each other a massage, talking. And that can lead to more in time. So communication is so important. Next is curiosity. This one was really important for me, as I kind of just assumed everything would be the same as it was before. And then when I started trying to return to intimacy, I realized things were different. And I actually got kind of scared. Whereas I think it would have been helpful to have the tip to be curious. You're not broken, but you might be a little different. We're all made of the same parts, just put in different places. And after you have birth, particularly a vaginal delivery, things may be in slightly different locations. And sensation may be different. That's okay. It's not necessarily a bad thing, but it's something to be curious about. And if it seems to be something that's disruptive to your desire or your ability to become aroused, that may be a reason to reach out to a pelvic floor therapist. And I go into more detail in this in the pelvic pain section. Lastly, I want to remind you that your hormones are doing all sorts of crazy things right now. And if you're breastfeeding, you're very likely to be very dry in the vaginal region. And dryness and sexual activity generally don't go hand in hand. So I've provided you a list of healthy, pH balanced, good for you lubricants without additives and chemicals and all that stuff that can cause irritation. That list of lubricants is a gold mine. Look it over and find one or two to try out. They're wonderful and can make the experience of returning to penetrative or vaginal-based intercourse more comfortable. Don't go dry. If you're having pain, lube it up. I recommend this all the time. In fact, when I go to see postpartum moms for pelvic floor evaluation, I hand them this list no matter what I'm seeing them for. It's that important. So I hope you find this section informative and helpful and a great way to start having better communication about returning to intimacy in postpartum. As always, thanks for watching.